It's a common sight in many bathrooms, a shelf lined with premium serums, masks, and $60 shampoos, all promising to restore shine and thickness. Yet, for many of us, the hair in the mirror remains thin, prone to frizz, and peppered with split ends that never seem to go away. We often assume the next product will be the one to finally fix it, but the cycle of damage continues regardless of the price tag on the bottle. When a strand of hair snaps like this, it isn't a random failure. It's the end result of a process we rarely notice. We tend to scrutinize the back of the bottle, looking for sulfates or parabens as the culprits for our hair's lack of health. However, the chemical makeup of the shampoo is frequently secondary to how we physically interact with our hair while it's wet. The way we move our hands, the pressure we apply, and the sequence of our movements determine the structural integrity of the hair shaft far more than the ingredients in the lather. While the hair feels soft under the water, a process called mechanical friction damage is happening at a scale the human eye can't see. Every time we rub our hair together to create a lather, we are forcing the individual strands to grind against one another. This friction acts like a slow, repetitive abrasive, wearing down the protective outer layers of each follicle, steadily building the case. This isn't something that happens after 1 or 2 washes. It's the result of hundreds, even thousands of showers over several years. This accumulation of physical stress creates localized weak points along the hair shaft. Once these microscopic points of trauma exist, no restorative treatment or expensive conditioner can fully bridge the gap or undo the structural loss. The damage is already baked into the fiber of the hair. We think of the shower as a place of renewal, but the physical effort we use to get our hair squeaky clean is often the very thing causing it to break down. By forcing the hair into a state of high friction, we are creating a cycle where the wash itself becomes the primary source of hair loss and thinning. To understand how to stop it, we have to look at the very first thing we do when we step under the water. The first error happens before the shampoo even leaves the bottle. We often refer to this as the pre-wash failure. It occurs when we apply product to hair that is merely damp, rather than being fully, heavily saturated with water. If there are dry patches or areas that haven't been soaked through to the core, the shampoo cannot function as intended, and the hair is left vulnerable to the chemicals and the friction of your hands. To see why this matters, we have to look at the hair's anatomy. The outer layer, called the cuticle, consists of overlapping scales. When the hair is dry, as you see here, these scales lie flat and are tightly interlocked. They form a rigid, protective barrier for the delicate cortex inside. For the hair to be cleaned without being stripped, these scales need to change their physical position. As water molecules flood the area and soak into the shaft, the cuticle layers absorb that moisture and begin to lift. They move from a flat, sealed position to an open, flared state. This transition allows the cleansing agents in your shampoo to reach the debris between the scales and rinse it away safely. Without total saturation, the shampoo just sits on top of the sealed scales, harshly stripping the surface oils without actually cleaning the hair. Once the hair is wet, most people make the placement error. We tend to pour a concentrated amount of shampoo directly onto the very top of our heads, the crown, and then immediately start scrubbing. From there, we drag that thick, undiluted product down through the lengths to the ends. It's a habit passed down through generations, but it's a direct path to localized thinning at the top of the head. There is a clear biological division on your head that most people ignore. The scalp is a living environment that produces oils, sweat, and skin cells that need to be removed. The mid-lengths and ends of your hair, however, are older, non-living tissue that doesn't produce oil. Shampoo is designed to be a degreaser for the skin, while the hair ends require the moisture-sealing properties of a conditioner. Using a concentrated degreaser on your fragile ends is a primary cause of split ends. To prevent this, the shampoo should never hit your scalp in its concentrated form. You should rub the product between your wet palms first, creating a light, airy foam. This emulsification process ensures the cleansing agents are evenly distributed and less aggressive when they finally make contact with your skin and roots. When we treat the scalp and the ends as the same thing, we create a frustrating biological loop. The roots stay oily because they're being overstimulated, and the ends become brittle because they're being over-cleansed. If you're finding these details helpful, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me keep these deep dives coming.
I'd also love to hear in the comments if you've noticed your hair feeling different after changing how you apply your shampoo. Now we need to talk about the physical act of scrubbing. Once the soap is in, we move to the tactile phase. There is a common assumption that the harder we scrub with our fingernails, the cleaner the scalp will be. We've been taught that a deep clean requires that scratching sensation. But your scalp is not a surface that needs to be scoured. It's a delicate extension of the skin on your face. This macro view shows what is actually happening when you use your nails. The sharp, rigid edge of a fingernail, which is made of hard keratin, acts like a blade against the softer skin of the scalp. It creates thousands of invisible micro tears and abrasions. You might feel a tingle or a sense of cleanliness, but you are actually causing physical trauma to the skin. These micro tears trigger an immediate response from your body. To protect the damaged area and heal the abrasions, your sebaceous glands begin to overproduce sebum. This is why many people find their hair gets greasy just 24 hours after a wash. Your body is trying to coat the injury with oil. The more you scrub to remove the oil, the more oil your body produces to repair the damage you're causing. After the scrub comes the rinse, and this is where the lather, rinse, repeat cycle becomes a problem. Doing a second wash often feels necessary for that squeaky feeling, but it often strips away the acid mantle, the thin protective film on your scalp that maintains its pH balance. When this balance is gone, the scalp becomes dry, flaky, and more prone to irritation. Rushing the rinse is another common mistake. Most of us stand under the water for 30 seconds and assume the product is gone. However, modern shampoos contain polymers and conditioning agents designed to stick to the hair. If you don't rinse for at least 2 full minutes, a microscopic film stays behind, coating the base of the hair follicles. This chart shows the physical impact of that residue. On the left, you see the natural lift angle of a clean hair root. On the right, that angle is significantly lower. The weight of the leftover polymer film acts like a physical anchor, pulling the hair flat against the scalp. This is the reason why hair often looks limp and greasy, even though you just washed it. We try to force cleanliness through aggressive scrubbing and multiple washes, but the biological result is the exact opposite of what we want. We end up with a scalp that overproduces oil and hair that lacks any natural volume. But the most significant risk to your hair structure happens the moment you turn the water off. As the shower ends, you might think the hard part is over. But the transition from the wet environment of the shower to the dry air of the bathroom is when the hair is most likely to snap. The mechanical stress applied during the drying process is responsible for the majority of the breakage we see around the face and the shoulders. This is because of a state called peak elasticity. When hair is fully saturated with water, the internal hydrogen bonds that give the hair its strength are temporarily broken. This makes the hair incredibly stretchy and soft, but also means it has very little structural resistance. In this state, a hair strand can be stretched far beyond its normal length, but it cannot snap back without fraying. Most of us grab a standard cotton towel and begin rubbing our heads to dry them. These towels have a coarse, looped weave designed for absorbing water from skin, not hair. As you can see here, those loops act like tiny hooks, snagging the swollen, waterlogged hair shaft. Because the hair is at peak elasticity, it stretches until the outer cuticle fails and the strand snaps. To avoid this, you have to move from friction to compression. Instead of rubbing, use a flat woven microfiber towel or even a soft cotton t-shirt. Press the fabric into the hair and squeeze gently. This allows the material to wick away the moisture without creating the tension or the snags that lead to breakage. If you start using these methods today, keep in mind that your scalp will need time to recalibrate. It takes roughly 3 full wash cycles for your oil production to slow down once you stop the aggressive scrubbing. You might feel a bit oily for the first week, but once your skin realizes it's no longer being abraded, the sebum levels will naturally drop. Improving the health of your hair isn't about finding a miracle product or a secret ingredient. It's about a commitment to respecting the hair's biological limits. When you stop the friction, allow for proper saturation, and dry with compression, you allow your hair to maintain the strength it was meant to have. Thanks for watching.
If you found this useful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive. I'll see you in the next one.